Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to this live stream segment for the People Podcast. Lord, baby juice, I got my wires hanging everywhere. Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I know we usually don't go live on Tuesdays unless we have a special guest, but we missed Mimosa Monday yesterday. Sorry, y'all. It's my fault. As you can probably guess, I've been trying to figure out a way to finesse this Twitter situation. If you catch my drift, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't gonna snitch on myself, but I was trying to figure out a way to finesse it because with StreamYard, can't use VPN and stream. So I'm like, damn, how do I even do my X stuff and scroll through X and show videos from there if I can't even stream? Yeah, man, it's a headache. But I finessed something. I think I finessed something. We're gonna test it out during this stream. I think I was able to make a way. Because when there is a will, there is a way. At least when you have more than one computer. So yeah, and the other computer gonna do just fine, hopefully. So yeah, man, it's been a headache of a weekend. I'm not gonna lie. I had a great weekend. I hope y'all had a great weekend too. But as far as work is concerned, the news that we've been getting is it's been fantastic, right? It's been fantastic. So we're gonna actually talk a little bit about that once we do some shout outs and all that good stuff. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. I have a great show for you today. We're gonna talk about AOC's ridiculous attack on Jill Stein. Ridiculous and easily debunked. And we're going to do some exposing of AOC as well while we're at it. We're also going to talk about the censorship in Brazil, shutting down X. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that because, we're going to talk about it, but the weeds, that's a whole different conversation. I thought about, for Hotspot, doing a video about the X block in Portuguese. Then I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm just gonna snitch on myself. So I changed my mind real quick. I was like, yeah, that probably won't be a good idea. It probably would not be a good idea. So unfortunately, y'all know, that's where we at. Y'all make sure, like I said, make sure y'all like this video. Ooh, my bad, y'all. It's been a while. Let me share it into Telegram so they know I'm live, baby. Sorry, Telegram people. Y'all know I love y'all. How was y'all weekend, by the way? How was everybody's weekend? I'm just really, hold on. I cannot see y'all comments. Give me a second. I'm not seeing nobody's comments. If y'all can see me, let me know. If y'all can hear me, let me know. I'm not seeing anybody's comments right now, though, which is strange because usually I would see somebody's comments on X or YouTube by now. So make sure y'all comment and let me know if y'all can hear me before we get started. Okay, I see Cobra Commander's in here. What's we got? There we go. Now I'm starting to see everybody. Joffrey, what's going on? Good weekend. School starts tomorrow. My nephews and nieces started today. But y'all about to get some freedom back, right? From my parents out there. Henry Gunsman, join my Telegram channel and get Glock to protect yourself. Well, yeah, you should definitely do that. Volvo to love. Volvos are very reliable vehicles. Well, at least they were. I don't know if they are still, but I know they were. Jeff, what's going on? Ratso, what's going on? It's like lava, what's going on? Radical education. That's the only education there should be. Hello from Toronto. What's going on? I know you need a break. I know you need a break from Toronto. Yup, it's like lava. Say, hit that like button. That's what I'm talking about. I know what time it is. Hit that like button. Y'all don't even know. Like I literally, the reason I didn't, so I was going to stream yesterday And then like as I was getting set up, I'm like, why can I'm like, oh, because I've been on my phone all weekend, right? I have AT&T. So if I'm not connected to any Wi-Fi here, I can still do all that good stuff on X through AT&T because that's where my phone is. Then I go to get on my computer to start setting up for my live stream. I'm like, why the hell can I get on X? I'm like, oh shit. And I realized like, damn, well, I can use my VPN. But then I'm like, damn, no, I can't because I can't stream with my VPN. It's been a struggle, y'all. I had to do this whole thing. Y'all can't even see how I got this shit set up right now to just in case there's X news that I need to cover. Jesus Christ. Censorship is trash and inconvenient. You said my man Ross said it's good in the Bronx. I bet you chat is in due dissidence. Oh, is it due dissidence out there covering the Huru movement right now? The Huru trial? I hope so. No, but we have people here. It's just like some of it seems like some people's comments are showing up late. So I'm streaming to more than one platform. So, you know. But I'm in Brazil, so I don't know what the hell's going on. It could be anything at this point, right? I mean, I'm in Brazil, Ohio. I'm in Brazil, Ohio. Yeah. Yeah, okay, like I said, we got a great show for you guys today. Oh man, I forgot to turn the stream for Rockfin. 1 second, y'all. If it lets me, Jesus Christ. I think we're good on Rockfin as well. Yep, we're good on Rockfin as well. We're good on Rockfin, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, and we are on that platform that should not be named, depending on who's listening. Yeah, man, a lot of stuff happened this weekend. A lot of there's been a lot of some jealousy, seems like, coming from the Democratic Party and AOC and Kamala Harris and all those people. That's what it seems like, right? It seems like there's something going on where now all of a sudden Jill Stein is legitimate fear. I don't know where, because usually, I mean, don't get me wrong, they fear monger third parties all the time. But they didn't have this type of fear mongering, when Howie Hawkins was running. Right? He was never considered a threat. The Green Party wasn't considered that much of a threat. But all of a sudden, AOC is now, and AOC's never openly attacked Jill like this, ever. They've never sent AOC after Jill. So that lets you know people are worried. We'll get into that. So, but before we get into that, I want to first touch on just some brief news about Burkina Faso, because we don't really talk enough about Africa and African politics. So, I don't know if you are aware, but Burkina Faso is one of the countries in Africa that separated itself from France's rule. And you know how, hold on 1 second. And do you know what happened next? They continued to win. They kept winning. That's what happened next. And we've been seeing this really in Niger, in all those countries that decided, you know what, we're tired of shit. We're gonna take our country back. And it's, unfortunately for France, it happens to be a lot of countries that France specifically was relying on to provide energy. And by relying on, I mean by stealing. Fast forward, it's been a couple of years since Burkina Faso has liberated itself. And they've been in constant battles to get back not only obviously the government, but the economy. And they just actually got a huge victory in winning back their economy. So in August 27th, the Bangu and Wangyan gold mines in Burkina Faso were owned by an African mining company, or until, Tuesday, August 27th. But an African mining company, by the way, it was England. It was England's company. However, Ouagadougou has agreed a deal to nationalize the mines for around $80 million. The Endeavor Mining, which agreed to sell Bangu and Wangyan to last year for $300 million, had accused its rival of missing payments. Meanwhile, Lilium argued that London-listed Endeavor had misrepresented and hidden financial information about the mines. However, as part of Tuesday's agreement, the companies are to abandon their legal cases against each other. Endeavor said it would like to thank the government of Burkina Faso for its mediation efforts. Lilium and Burkina Faso's junta have not commented that the nationalization follows a growing pattern of African governments, especially those under military juntas, liberation movements, attempting to exert greater control over their natural resources. That's a huge victory for Burkina Faso. It's another example of how NATO and the Western Empire is collapsing. Burkina Faso currently provides about they're the 15th largest gold exporter in the world. So that may not, 15 seems like may not be that kind of like high. It's not like top 5 or something like that. But they have a country of 20 million or so people. We know how much gold is worth. And for them to have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold, if not potentially billions of dollars worth of gold, you got to convert that into their dollars, their currency. That goes a long way into helping to not only secure the people, but make sure, once again, that their economy and money is spent within their own country so that they can grow from within, realize their own potential. It's amazing. I just had to start out with a feel-good story for the liberation. Because right now what we're seeing with the Huru 3, shout out to them. I'm praying that this trial goes in their favor. If y'all see any news about that while we're streaming, please update me. JB was covering it earlier. JB from RBN. If you have not, go check that out afterwards. But you know that we had Chairman O'Malley on this show. So, you know, our hearts are with them in this flagrant and blatant political attack. I mean, it's the only way to describe it. So, but given everything negative that's going on in the world, I feel like it's always good to remind people with the nice story that like liberation movements do work. There have been people and there are currently groups that are fighting Western imperialism, fighting Western colonialism, and they are winning. As much as some of this shit might get depressing, you can't really give up hope, guys. Can't give up hope because Burkina Faso is not a big country, not a huge country, but they got it done, right? And so you just got to keep pushing. Now, I do want to move in. I want to move into our next subject, reparations. Well, not necessarily reparations for everybody, but reparations for California. Did y'all hear that the Democrats somehow managed to block their own reparations bill in California? Don't ask me how the hell that works, but it was helpful up, you guys. Bong, bong, bong. Fill away, fill away. There we go. So, okay, fit this out. There we go. So you can see here, Black Californians warn Newsom of direct impact on Harris after Democrats kill slave reparations bills. Zoom in so y'all can see this. Black activists at the California Assembly threatened a direct impact on Vice President Harris's presidential campaign after state Democratic lawmakers held off on 2 bills that would have greenlighted slavery reparations. Obviously, once again, this is strictly in California. Last week, the California legislature approved proposals allowing for the return of land or compensation to families whose property was unjustly seized by the government and issuing a formal apology for laws and practices that have harmed Black people. It's not much to ask for, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. They already did it for Japanese people. They've done it for indigenous. Hell, they did it for Japanese people not only here, but abroad as well. So Feel like it's not too much to ask for. But none of those bills would provide a widespread, none of those bills would provide widespread direct payments to African Americans. After hours of heated debate and protests on Saturday, state lawmakers left out two bills, Senate Bills 1403 and 1331, that would have created a fund and an agency to oversee reparations measures. The speaker needs to bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They're killing their own bills because they're scared of the governor. One black man, a member of the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, said in the rotunda on the last day of the legislative year on Saturday. Now listen, they're going to see this and they're going to get mad at us. They're killing their own bills. And then they're going to get mad at us. They're killing their own bills because they're scared of the governor. We don't care. Bring the goddamn bills up now. So give me 1 sec. So what's interesting about that is how he was very clear that they're not just killing their own bills. And it's not just the Democrats doing it. Surprise, surprise, right? Democrats screwing over their own constituency, the same people who voted for them. But he was very clear that they're killing the bill on behalf of Gavin Newsom. Because they say that Gavin Newsom would veto it. Now, if Gavin Newsom vetoes it, you would expect some type of backlash, not only in California, to be completely honest, but everybody's expecting Gavin Newsom to actually be a presidential candidate in the very near future. Probably after Kamala Harris loses. And so if these Democrats take this bill to the floor, they would face the wrath of Gavin's team and potentially face political backlash from within their own party. So in other words, a bunch of black Democrats are literally shucking and jiving for the white man. That's a crazy real life metaphor like that. I've never, imagine killing a reparations bill in your own state after you did all the work, because they got all this, they did the multiple bills. They have an agency set up to actually figure out who deserves what. They had the fund set up, so they knew where the money was going to be coming from. They had everything. And they literally killed it for a white guy. They killed the bill to protect the white dude, who was the governor. Y'all don't think that's like a little bit ironic? That's like almost too on the nose. It's like, I know we talk a lot of shit about the Democratic Party, but that's almost too on the nose. I want to show y'all really quick this video. One second, I want to show y'all this video of the guy talking about the situation. Yeah, I think y'all can see it. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear it.
The speaker needs to bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Now, listen, they gonna see this and they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills, then they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Okay? We don't care.
We need to
bring the goddamn bills up now.
The governor needs to understand that the world is watching California, and this is going to have a direct impact on your friend Kamala Harris, who's running for president. This is going to have a direct impact. So pull up the bills now, vote on them, and sign them.
We have the votes.
We've been waiting for over 400 years.
So they're telling them. They're telling them. And she's not lying. Because it's not just the fact that the Democrats of California introduced this bill. The Democrats of California had the ability to pass these bills. They have the numbers. They have the votes. They have the Democrat in power to sign it. And they have the ability and the numbers to hold that particular Democrat, him being Gavin Newsom, they have the ability to hold him accountable. And the Democrats are showing if it means standing up to a powerful member of their party, they will not do the things that they promise that they'll do. That it's theater, that they're all talk, that they will betray their base to protect their power. But beyond that, in this particular case, whose state is this? This is California. This is Kamala's state, people. And last I checked, yep, it's still the same Kamala who's trying to run on being black. The same Kamala who does the worst, makes the worst attempt at code switching the moment she's in front of a black audience that I've ever heard, has said nothing. She has said nothing about what's taking place with the reparations bills in California, despite the fact that she could use her platform right now to put pressure on Gavin Newsom, and she could probably benefit from that across the board. Because there's nothing right now that Gavin Newsom could do to her. There's no, like Gavin Newsom might be powerful in California, but Kamala and her influence really comes from outside of Cali. It's not, her influence isn't a local influence. It's the donors from around the country, principally the Hillary Clinton donor class, that uplift her and put her in power. She just so happened to be living in California. We know that. So she actually could use this moment to be like, nah, y'all have to do this for black people. If y'all already did the work, if you promised them this, then you have to keep that promise. But no, she's not going to. And this is her state. Once again, this is a dead ode. And what I like about this legislation, or what I like about these pieces of legislation, is the fact that it was so detailed. You know how you know the bills were good? Because they didn't pass, because they didn't pass. You know a bill is fucking amazing when it doesn't achieve, when it would achieve the goal, and therefore it cannot it achieves the goal and it cannot be allowed to be passed by the legislature. Because God forbid, a piece of legislation actually achieves the goals that it sets out to achieve. That never happens. It's not allowed. Chima Madu, thank you very much for the super chat. The FBA clowns are going to blame black immigrants. In this particular case, they don't. I don't think that has anything to do with black immigrants. I don't think they could. I mean, who knows? They could find a way. But in this particular case, you have no one else to blame but the Democrats and Gavin Newsom. Because once again, this isn't some generic bill. And by the way, Gavin Newsom, you know what he said? He said, instead, I want to give money to some random college to study reparations even further. He literally used the same line that they always use. In this bill, it gave them the ability to do everything that study would do and more, and to make sure that whatever findings they had, it would give them the mechanisms and the funding and the agency to see it through and to make sure that the people who deserve the reparations get them. I don't know what more you can want. And once again, it's just never been a problem in the past. At least when it comes to the United States. Hell, the United States is so good at giving reparations, usually they be giving reparations to other people in other countries. That's Israel. Still giving out reparations to Israel. So, I think this is pretty emblematic of why we don't really, this is why I don't understand how black people can be part of the Democratic Party. Because I'm sure that these groups were working with these particular assembly people, right, during their respective campaigns. And part of the reason that those bills got drafted was because there was promises that were made, and there was a coalition big enough to ensure that the lobbying was effective and those bills got drafted. And whenever push came to shove, once again, the Democrats threw black people under the bus. In the middle of a presidential election, no less. I don't understand why Gavin Newsom would even veto this bill. I don't understand. California has a shitload of money. They don't spend it well, but this will be one of the few situations, once again, where, and by the way, it wouldn't even be a shitload of black people. It's like a couple of thousand. I think it's like a few thousand that, like, so far that they've been able to trace, a few thousand families, my apologies, so far that they've been able to trace back their lineages to slavery. They're trying to figure out if there are more, but like, it wouldn't even be a back-breaking debt that was paid. So why not just do it? Just do it. Because Gavin Newsom's a fucking idiot, that's why. And Democrats full of shit. So women who are out there thinking, oh man, we'll vote for Kamala because of reproductive rights. No, it's not happening. First of all, she doesn't even have the power to do that. I don't understand why I keep thinking that. I went on Twitter today, saw something about a reproductive tour. They're on a reproductive rights tour, reproductive freedom tour. For what? Y'all, that is not in Kamala's political purview. And by political purview, I mean she can't do shit to ensure reproductive rights except for sign a piece of paper, which she can't sign unless the Democrats do something that they have never done since I've been alive, which would be introduce legislation to codify Roe v. Wade. Y'all think that she's gonna do that? Do you think that they're gonna do that? Do you think that Kamala is gonna use her bully pulpit to make sure that it happens? Nah, because the only way you can do that, the only way you can protect reproductive rights federally, nationwide, would be through the legislature. Because anything that she tries to do through the executive branch will be killed by the Supreme Court. Not that you can't codify Roe through the executive branch, but if she tried, it'll be killed by the Supreme Court. So like, why you go on this reproductive freedom tour? For what? To pander. To make more promises that they won't keep. And this would be an opportunity for Kamala to be like, nah, Democrats, we have to show that we're different now because we're actually suffering. This is actually a problem. I already lost the Muslim vote. Tied with Jill Stein. We're gonna talk about that in a second. She's tied with Jill Stein, the Muslim vote. Can't lose a black vote too. Would she still win California if she lost the majority? Well, I don't know. I think she would. I don't know. Maybe, I guess. I'm assuming. California is becoming more and more red though, so I don't know. But the reverberating impact when this conversation is had, because it's not, I don't think that this conversation is going to end. I don't think the conversation about reparations and what Kamala could have done to use her power and influence in California to pass this is going to end. It's going to come up again. And it's just going to be another reminder to people, oh, Kamala and the Democrats are going to throw, not just, it ain't just black people, it's all minorities really. We're useful when we're useful, and when we're done, they throw us out. It's all of us. But once again, Kamala ain't running on being all ethnicities. She's not running on being all races. She's running on being black. And the Democrats are pushing her as such. So, really quick, man, we want to talk about this situation in Brazil. So as you guys know, Supreme Court, specifically the Supreme Court Justice Alexandre Moraes, he decided to block Twitter for all of Brazil. Once again, it's kind of a convoluted situation, but I'm gonna do my best to kind of break it down. So it was him who made the first decision. The rest of the Supreme Court judges actually decided to uphold that decision. I want to say it was this morning or yesterday. It was last night. They decided to uphold the decision, unfortunately. So it means, yeah, X is really blocked on Twitter. To be completely and totally honest, it is 100% a political move. 100%. I know it seems like this beef right now is between Elon and Moraes, but it's not. That's where it ended up, but that's not where it started. What it really was about, and what it's been about, is about Moraes, this judge, and him attempting to silence political opponents. And in this very moment, those political opponents also happen to be, y'all might not like the way this is gonna sound, but it is what it is. A lot of those political opponents also happen to be political opponents of Lula. Okay? Including Bolsonaro. So, this judge, Moraes, wanted information, wanted to shut down his opponents, all the things that you would expect, right? And at this point, Musk would not allow it to happen because the opponents that he wanted Musk to shut down actually would probably be considered the type of people that play for Musk's team. Because we know, let's be clear, Musk is not a free speech absolutist. Let's not get that twisted, everybody. If it was truly time for, if Israel asked him to shut somebody down, he would do it. He's done it before. If the United States government asked him to shut somebody down, and it was like from the Trump side that the side he likes, he would do it. Hell, they shut down the non-committed, the uncommitted Twitter page. The moment that they came out and called out Kamala for not allowing a Palestinian to speak on stage. So let's not pretend that he's a free speech activist and there's a war against Elon Musk. I don't want us to believe that, but there is a war against free speech. And sometimes Elon Musk is a victim, or his website that he just so happens to be the boss of is the victim. And sometimes he has to defend it, and sometimes what he says is true as far as the corruption and the silencing of free speech. However, we need to remember that he's also a perpetuator of that same type of censorship. So I just want to make that clear. Anyway, this judge, I have to just let y'all know, this dude is probably one of the most corrupt people in Brazil. People keep calling him a leftist. He is not a leftist. He just was a part of a very liberal, neoliberal party. Okay? He was at one point the Minister of Security in Sao Paulo, and he was so corrupt that there was, out of every 4 deaths that were happening for killing, out of every 4 people killed, okay? One of those people were being killed by the Sao Paulo Police Department, and he was covering it up. Talking about Moraes. This is the kind of guy he is. Whenever they're saying that Elon was dodging accountability, wouldn't send representation to Brazil for X to answer for whatever the hell they were accusing him of, that's actually not true. So says right here on Yahoo Tech, when we attempted to defend ourselves in court, Judge Moraes threatened our Brazilian legal representative with imprisonment. Even after she resigned, he froze all of her bank accounts. X's global government affairs account alleged in a post on Thursday. Now, the court, however, has argued that X repeatedly failed to follow Brazilian laws. The Brazilian news outlet O Globo notes that the Justice Flavio Gino has called the accusations of the government censorship absurd, and Moraes has accused Musk of confusing freedom of expression with a non-existent freedom of aggression. That doesn't make any sense. So as you can probably guess, Moraes is full of shit. It's the moral of that story. The greater implications. Oh yeah, hold on really quick. They also decided so Starlink actually has been providing free internet to some places in the north, some states in the north, the more rural areas that are harder for the companies to get to. So they're freezing all the assets of Starlink, even though Starlink actually technically has nothing to do with X, outside of the fact that Elon Musk is the principal financier of Starlink. So I don't even know how that's legal, but it is apparently. It's like Starlink's, well, I guess because Starlink's a privately owned company, probably. But Yeah, even though it has nothing to do with X, outside of Elon, they're freezing all the assets of Starlink. That's insane, actually. Y'all know how I feel about Elon, but that's insane. That's a vendetta. And it's probably because Starlink came out officially and said that they're not going to follow the law, which is forcing the telecommunications companies to block X. So that's probably what that's about. It's some bullshit. It really is. Because there are long-term implications in an election that's coming up. Elections really, but definitely. Oh, actually, I think there's a big one in Sao Paulo coming up. But there's a lot of implications for not just elections that are coming up soon, but the elections that will be coming up in 2026. The reason that there's a huge implication is because, I don't know if you heard the news, but somehow Lula and his party have been allowed to tweet. I don't know if that's still the case. Let me see. I'm about to check right now, confirm. When I looked on Sunday, Lula was allowed to tweet, and his party members have been allowed to tweet. Give me 1 second. Just want to make sure I'm not crazy. There we go. Yeah, Lula went live. That's some audacious shit. Lula went live on August 30th. Members of a party have tweeted since then. So there you go. That lets you know it's clearly a bias. And we can't have a situation in Brazil where, because not everybody can afford a VPN. VPNs for Brazilians are expensive because you have to buy it in USD. I mean, they convert it into the price of Brazilian real, but they're paying USD prices. It's expensive. No one's doing that just to check Brazil. Just to check Brazil. No one is buying, and no one in Brazil is buying a VPN just to check Twitter. So, one of the largest countries in the world, one of the most massive X markets in the world, cannot access the platform that is most accessed for news. So in other words, the members of parties that Moraes approves of can get on Twitter and say whatever they want to. They can just do it. They can say what they want to. And then the Brazilians have to now hope that whatever they see on CNN Brazil, because they do have that, whatever they see on their local news stations, whatever they see tweeted out on Facebook, maybe TikTok, usually not there, but maybe TikTok, whatever they see on Global Play, like they have to hope that that's the real news. It's not usually. I'm gonna put it like that. It's usually not. Believe it or not, a lot of Brazilians get their news from Glenn. Yeah, I mean, my barber is one of the, like this is before he even knew I knew Glenn Greenwald. He literally was like, yeah, he said his name in a weird accent. I was like, what? He's like, he's American. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I was like, what are you talking? He used to have a publication here, but he doesn't have it. I'm like, you talking about Glenn? He's like, oh yeah. And everybody in the barbershop like, yeah, man, that's the only guy I really can trust. So a lot of people get their news from Glenn Greenwald. In the past, it was Intercept, but now it's Glenn Greenwald. They get it from Twitter. A lot of them can't access that now without paying for it and potentially running the risk of being fined. How is that because Brazil has one of the most secure election systems in the world. So if you can't rig the election system through the actual voting machines, what's the other way that you can rig elections? Through media. It's the only way to do it. And a lot of Brazilians consume their media through Twitter. That's where they go to get the news that they can't get off of TV. Because just like, unfortunately, just like in the US, they slant one way or the other. And this is not a good look for Lula. My only defense that I could possibly have of Lula is these judges here, they run shit. It is a dictatorship of judges. This judge had already made the decision as to whether or not he was going to block Twitter. He already made the decision to block it, basically. It was just trying to figure out the best PR move to present the adjudication. And once again, when you're talking about a situation where they're claiming that Musk, or X didn't send representation, and they're like, no, we did send representation. They tried to throw her in jail and they froze her bank accounts. That's crazy, bro. So now we don't got Rumble and we don't got X. What kind of shit is that? This is bullshit. And I can maybe if Lula, I could see Lula being afraid of the judge, so he's probably not going to challenge it. But the truth is, Lula is usually quiet if there's violations of civil liberties and things like that, or corruption. If it means that he could benefit from it, unfortunately, when it comes to his opponents, it's very, very Democratic Party of him, to be completely honest. They've been, I don't even, y'all know I don't like Bolsonaro, but like they've been to make sure that because there's a chance that Bolsonaro runs again. And because Lula has done so badly here, and by done badly, I mean, he's done nothing. He hasn't done shit. If anything, he's made it more difficult for working class people to make money. He's been decent on foreign policy. He said a lot of nice shit. He said a lot of nice stuff. As far as BRICS is concerned, he's helped get the ball rolling when it comes to BRICS. Cool, good stuff. But that only does so much for Brazilians. The average Brazilian is worse off right now than they were 3-4 years ago. That's not good. Remember, in 3 or 4 years ago, there was a pandemic. And the average Brazilian is still worse off. Just like in the US, everything is more expensive. And instead of making it easier for you to get through those financial barriers, Lula has actually made it more complicated. He's been spending a lot of his time on IG fucking live. He's giving me real AOC vibes. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why. I wish I could tell y'all what my theory. Y'all know my theory on Lula. My theory on Lula is that the job that they wanted was accomplished. They scared the hell out of him. They arrested him. They held him. Basically, they charged him with a bunch of BS. They put him in jail. Like when you can, and it was these type of judges, by the way, that facilitated that process on behalf of the United States. It was these type of judges that have this dictatorial-like power. And it's scary because they can come from different parties and they still back each other because like their fraternity of judges is more important to them than even their parties at times. So even if there's somebody from that used to be, because, you know, obviously when you're a judge, you technically aren't allowed to be part of a party still. But even if you came from that party and you switch sides, if you came from the opposite party of Moraes, for example, they would still like, yeah, man, what do you say? All right, bro, I got you. Because their fraternity of fucking corrupt judges is more important. It's worse than the U.S. Supreme Court. It's worse than the U.S. Supreme Court. I wish I could be like this because the president, the U.S. president, doesn't fear the U.S. Supreme Court. You will never see a situation where the U.S. president is put in jail because of a verdict by the Supreme Court. You just won't see it. Because for that to happen, the Justice Department would also have to fall under the branch of the Supreme Court, but the Justice Department falls under the executive branch. Don't ask me why the hell that's the case. When you really think about it logically, that shouldn't be the case, I guess. But that's not how it is in Brazil. The Brazilian Justice Department can do whatever the hell they want to the president, and the judges just have to sign off on it, and the judges can initiate. It's actually, like I said, it's actually kind of scary. And it's even crazier here because it is very, 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 very difficult to be a lawyer. It is extremely difficult to be a lawyer in Brazil. It's expensive even by like United States. Like, yeah, it's expensive to be a lawyer in the United States, but it's expensive even by their standards. And they want their payment every month. There are people who start school as a lawyer, they'll do like one semester and they got to take off to work because like, it's like 10,000 reais a month. And that's for like a decent school. So they'll work for a semester, save the money up, pay for 2-3 months, take off. Like it could be a 4, 5, 6 year process to be a lawyer just because you got to have the money to do it. It's very, very difficult. And the reason why it's so difficult is because they know that if you become a lawyer, you have the ability to become a judge. If you become a judge, you're one of the most powerful people in the country. And they don't want everybody to have access to that type of power. And most of the lawyers here will screw you over. You got to know somebody. Like you don't ever just you don't Google a lawyer in Brazil. You make sure you got a friend who knows somebody who's a lawyer. Otherwise, that lawyer will run off with your money. It's a huge problem in Brazil. The lawyers and the judges, because it's not just the Supreme Court judges, it's judges at the state level too. It could have potential. This could have potential long-term impact. I mean, the best way I can think of to describe it is imagine if the Democrats could say and do whatever they wanted on the largest social media platform in the world, but you can't tweet. I mean, kind of like when they blocked Trump. It's a little bit like that, except for it would be everybody who even claimed the same party as him couldn't respond, nor could the people who support them. You get what I'm saying? Like, that is a terrifying reality. Hell, because it wouldn't even be just Trump. It would be like the Green Party, libertarians. If you don't represent those neoliberal values of the Democratic Party, you're banned. And yeah, I know that I said everybody's banned, but actually we're going to still let the Democrats tweet. That's what effectively is happening right now. And Lula should say something. He won't though. And I feel like that should probably be a big sign that maybe there's a little bit of a red flag, little red flag there. You know, the CIA did help him get elected. They were cheering for him. This isn't the Lula of old. Going to jail scares you. Going to jail will scare you. Knowing that you could be put in jail just because somebody alleges something about you will scare the hell it'll scare the hell out of you, bro. Now, once again, I maintain that if you were that scared, you shouldn't have ran again to begin with. But who knows? Maybe the deal that he cut was you will stand on the sideline until we call your number, if we decide to call it. Maybe that was a deal to get him out. We don't know. So now it's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. We got to talk about AOC and Jill Stein. Because fuck AOC, right? I'm just going to start by saying that. Fuck her. So, named my taco. Thank you very much for the super chat. Much love from the 2-6. And what's good? That Puerto Rican flag? Of course you're from the two. Of course you're from Fayetteville. You know, Fayetteville only got 2 types of Hispanics. Well, technically 3. Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, and Panamanians, who everybody thinks are Puerto Rican or Mexican. Real talk. Shout out to my guy from the 6. Oh, man. So AOC took the Instagram. Y'all know, because God forbid AOC is actually working to get something passed. God forbid that. She instead, hold on, let me pull this up. Oh, I need to stop sharing my other one. Like I said, y'all, I'm finessing the screens right now, so y'all gotta work with me. Hold up, where is my? Oh, here we go. I know what I did. There we go. There we are. Cool. I think everybody can see it now. All right. So AOC decided to go on Instagram because that's what y'all pay her $174,000 a year to do, apparently. Go on Instagram, do live streams, not do a damn thing in Congress, and just be popular, I guess. I don't know what her job is. I don't know what her specialty is. I don't even know what y'all really gotta ask yourselves, like, AOC was even speaking at the Democratic National Convention. And when you really think about it, politically speaking, as somebody who's been involved in politics, political strategizing, I've done consulting, I've done speech writing, I've worked for candidates, I've been a campaign manager at the local level. I've done it all for independents and a couple of Democrats. Okay? There's no reason, nothing that of any, no reason of any merit that I can think of to justify AOC speaking at the convention. Nothing. There's no significant achievement other than her supposedly beating the Democratic establishment in 2018. There's no significant achievement that pops up in my mind. It's like, yeah, man, AOC definitely deserves to speak at the Democratic National Convention. Especially considering her one significant achievement, guys, is defeating the Democratic establishment. Supposedly. So she's invited to speak at the Democratic National Convention to make sure the Democratic establishment wins. At least, I think that we can all agree the people who are usually asked to speak at the Democratic National Convention are people who have done their, they put in work for the Democratic establishment. They've actually gotten solid gains with the Democratic establishment. For real. Like, at least that, they deserve to be amongst the little reptilian Democratic donkey friends. But even as an establishment Democrat, I don't know what the hell AOC has done, let alone a leftist. But anyway, she's really good at using IG Live. And she's really good at getting on IG Live and saying the dumbest shit ever, where it looks like she's really trying to defend herself through tangentially defending the Democratic Party. And that usually means that she's about to say something stupid. And she did. She said a bunch of stupid lies, easily debunked lies about not only Jill Stein, but the Green Party, and about herself and her advocacy for third parties and democracy. So let's check out this video real quick.
A little spicy, but I have thoughts.
Spicy.
I feel like I should save this for a live. I'm not coming for people who are thinking about this. I'll talk to you. What I have
I'm not coming for people who aren't thinking about it. What? I'll talk to you. I'll talk to this random person on my IG Live. What are you talking about? You're on IG Live. What do you mean you're not talking to everybody?
problem with is the fact that if you are running for president, you are the de facto leader of your party. And first of all, trust me on this. I run as a third party candidate in New York. I'm also run as a working families party candidate in addition to running as a Democrat. Because trust me, I've been on record about my criticisms of a two-party system. So this is not about that. So
I want to be very clear about something before she even continues. Because that's, she always does that thing where she's like, here are my leftist credentials before she lies about some shit to splinter the left. Yeah. AOC does not run as a third party candidate. Okay. In New York, as of, not only in New York, there's several states where it's like this, but I know in New York specifically because I live there. In New York, you can add your name to more than one ballot line if that organization endorses you and they can afford to pay to be on the ballot. So in other words, it's not as if AOC is doing, like, is like making some type of sacrifice. Like she's taking her name off the Democratic Party ballot and running as third party every time she runs for an election. You get what I'm saying? There's not a working families party coalition in the New York State legislature. What happens is, and I'm telling you because I worked for the Working Families Party of New York City. So I'm not speaking out my ass. I'm telling y'all from experience. I know exactly how it goes. What happens is the Working Family Parties as a nonprofit organization and as a political action, well, they're not a PAC, but they are, oh, actually they might be a PAC too, but they're a nonprofit that pushes candidates if you align with their ideals, which used to be more consistent back in the day. And if you align with their ideals, it's almost like a quid pro quo. We will add you to our ballot line so that you can take advantage of all of the people who, and there's a lot in New York, there are a lot of Working Family Parties members who pay every month, who vote based off of who they see on the Working Family Party's line. There are a lot of people like that, okay? But it's not like it's gonna take votes away from you if they vote Working Families instead of voting you as a Democrat. Your name disappears twice. So if they don't know who to vote for in a particular race, which definitely benefits somebody like an AOC in a congressional race or somebody running for a local office. If I don't know who to vote for, I'm just gonna default to Working Families. In a close election, somebody being able to vote for you in both the Democratic Party and the Working Families Party will help you win. In other words, her running in the Working Families Party is not altruistic. It's directly for her benefit. You get what I'm saying? You understand? Like, she's lying. She's like, oh yeah, I love third parties. Working Families Party is not a third party. How many delegates do they got? Do they hold a convention? Is there a Working Families Party convention every year? Did they coalesce behind? No. The Working Families Party is effectively a less liberal machine for the Democratic Party to push their candidates. Like they used to take pride in challenging establishment Democrats. That's what they used to do. Okay? But that's it. They don't have their own convention. They're not the Green Party. They're not the Libertarian Party. They're not the Socialist Party. They're not the Communist Party. No. So she's lying to try and make it seem like I'm not speaking from a place of malice or disdain for third parties. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Democrat. Yes, you are. How? Pop quiz, everybody. Go ahead and look out in the last decade, how many Green Party members has the Working Family Party endorsed? How many Green Party members, or better yet, how many independents has the Working Family Party endorsed? Y'all let me know.
You are the leader of your party. And if you run for years and years and years and years and years in a row, and your party is not grown, and you don't add city council seats, and you don't add down ballot candidates, and you don't add state electeds, that's bad leadership. And that to me is what's upsetting.
That to me is what's upsetting. Oh, if that's what's upsetting. It's not the fact that you just lied and said that Jill Stein ran for years and years and years and years and years and years, 12 years in a row. No, Jill Stein didn't run last year. Or excuse me, last election. She didn't run in 2020. It was, unfortunately for everybody, it was Howie Hawkins. Okay? It was Howie Hawkins who ran. Unless Jill just, once again, maybe Jill's espionage skills are so, like they're just so good, and AOC could see through it that like she just put on a Howie Hawkins mask because she was hiding from the Democratic establishment, and she like, no, it's not. It was Howie Hawkins. Unfortunately. And do you know why it was Howie Hawkins instead of Jill Stein? Because Jill actually would have run. You know why? It was because they started a false investigation into Jill Stein, claiming that she was working for Russia. The Senate Intelligence Committee tied her up in a 4-year-long investigation to link her to a Russian espionage conspiracy, which she was, of course, exonerated from. But that was after they zapped her of her party funds and put her in debt, literally, trying to defend herself. They zapped the campaign funds, they zapped party funds. They said Jill Stein, because you want to talk about they didn't organize. No, they won offices. They set fundraising records. They set party registration records. Oh, by the way, they did all this in 2016. At the same time, Hillary and the Democrats were hemorrhaging votes, hemorrhaging registration, having record people leave and going to the Republican Party if they weren't going to the Green Party. She didn't want to talk about that. Or how about the fact that even as we speak, the Democrats are trying to stop her from gaining ballot access in multiple states. Not just her, but other people. But we're talking about Jill right now. Or the fact that the Democrats under the Biden administration literally stole the funds that they're supposed to be matching Jill Stein's campaign. They just stole the money. That's what's upsetting to me. That's what's really upsetting AOC. It's the fact that you can watch the Democrats undermine democracy at every turn, and you ain't got shit to say about that. You can watch the Democrats put up a fucking demented old man and cheat, rig an entire primary, not once, but twice, even more so the second time, and you ain't had nothing to say about your leadership. You don't know what the Green Party has done. And there was a law that they had after 2016, which Jill explained on my show. Because I asked her about it. I said, well, what the hell happened? Why would you let the life get sucked out of the... She's like, yeah, oh yeah, no, they literally... Because at the same time that Jill was being held up by the US government on purpose, they were simultaneously putting in moles in plants to fuck the party up. And then once Jill was out of the picture completely, at least they thought that she would be out of the picture, those moles disappeared. And I know because we exposed a lot of them. She talked about it on my show. So for a party that's not a threat to the Democrats, for a candidate who is not a threat to the Democrats, for somebody who's so ineffective, the Democrats sure do invest a shitload of resources and energy into making sure Jill nor the Green Party can do shit, even though supposedly they would just fail on their own and Jill is just not effective. Jill did not run years and years in a row. The Green Party probably would be looking a lot different if she did. But the reason that she didn't run in 2020 was because, motherfucker, they were trying to bankrupt her and throw her in jail for having the audacity to do well in 2016. That's why they did it. It was to punish her and to make sure that no one else in the Green Party would follow her example. That's what it was about.
Because if you have been your party's nominee for 12 years in a row, 4 years ago and 4 years before that and 4 years before that, and you cannot grow your movement pretty much at all and can't pursue any...
Once again, they broke records in 2016. Broke records. This is a fact.
Successful strategy, and all you do is show up once every 4 years to speak to people who are justifiably pissed off, but you're just showing up once every 4 years to do that. You're not serious. You're not to me, it does not read as authentic. It reads as predatory. I'm sorry. I'm just saying it.
Really? This is the same bitch that came to the Met Gala and attacked the rich dress. This is the same one who ran on passing Medicare for all, and then once the Democrats got into power, she said nothing about it. Oh, excuse me. She didn't say anything about it until Bernie introduced it again once the House lost power and knew it wouldn't pass. This is the same one who cried in front of a fake detention center fence, like where she acted like she was crying at a detention center and it was just a fucking photo op. This is the same AOC who goes on. See, it isn't really as bad on Twitter, but on Facebook, oh, she got some loyal followers, and she robs them every 2 years of millions of dollars. People pretending as if she is going into Congress to fight for them every day. AOC had a good 2 years to prove, because I'm not even gonna hold her accountable for Trump, for the Trump administration, because that was such a wonky situation. But you had a chance to prove all of us wrong. You had 2 years of Biden, where you had the Senate and you had the House, and you could have leveraged the millions of Twitter followers and millions of Facebook followers and Instagram followers and all these people who view you. You could have leveraged that and your squad members. The first thing you could have did was force the vote. Y'all remember that? That was the first thing they could have did. Fucked it up. Okay. Well, maybe they'll pass. They'll try to introduce Medicare for all so we can at least expose who doesn't know. Nope, not that either. Okay. Well, damn. Genocide. Okay. Is that your red line? Is genocide your red line? Oh, okay. So genocide not your red line. Well, shit. Is your colleague facing vicious, racist, xenophobic attacks from both Democrats and from Republicans the red line for you? Nope, not. Okay, cool. Talking about Rashid Tlaib. Nope. Okay, well, can you at least not do harm to the community? Nope, going to sign legislation to make sure that police funding can be increased. And sign legislation to fund the Iron Dome. Okay. So basically what you're telling us, you're not going to do shit. Oh, no, excuse me. You're not going to only not do shit. You're going to actually actively harm the people that you ran to represent. Right? AOC was one of the first people to run the Congress, or run the Twitter, run the Instagram to bitch about the Supreme Court decision with Roe v. Wade. Where was the legislation from AOC to codify it? Where was the effort to codify Roe v. Wade? Because even if she couldn't do it herself because of whatever committee, because there's committees and shit, like, I get that. Okay, so where was the effort on your behalf to codify it? Not only does she get up here, not only does she go to DC every damn day and not do a damn thing, not only does she, when she does finally do something and vote for something, it's usually to harm the community, especially foreign policy. But on top of all that, you then will get on Twitter and straight fucking lie and still pretend like you're one of us. Jill Stein today is in Florida speaking up for the Huru 3. The Huru movement, where those three, led by Chairman O'Malley, is a movement that's literally older than, I think, if it's not older than my mom, it's close to it. Chairman O'Malley actually goes older than my grandfather was when he passed away. And Chairman O'Malley is being punished and persecuted for activism, for the same activism that AOC supposedly aligns with. What has AOC said since the Huru 3 movement, or the Huru 3 started getting wrongfully prosecuted. What did she have to say today? Jill Stein is there in Florida right now, in the middle of a campaign, in the middle of her campaign. AOC is off work. If I'm not mistaken, Congress is ended session. Congress is ended. He's not doing shit. So who's predatory? Who is predatory, guys? Who is predatory and authentic? Because Jill wasn't even going to run this time. She moved out the way so Cornel West could do it. Cornel decided to leave. And her and Jamu were literally arguing, trying to get each other to run because they didn't want to run again. But they knew that if they didn't run, the party would have been hurt. They would have started losing ballot access across the country. They would lose the ability to gain ballot access at a time that's very tumultuous for both the Democrat and Republican parties in a way that they would be able to take advantage of the situation. So, hold on one second. So they could have taken advantage of that situation. And they are. They are taking advantage of it. So actually, strategically speaking, Jill doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, huh? Because once again, last I checked, half of the Muslim voters are now on track to be voting for Jill Stein. That's crazy, yo. Okay, once again, I covered this before, but we'll talk about it again because it's important. In Michigan, there has not been a Democrat to have won Michigan.
There's not
been a Democrat that has lost Michigan and has actually won the election since, I want to say Bill Clinton. Maybe, nope, not even Obama. Everybody. And if they do, and by the way, if they do win, it's marginally. They win by like 50, 60, 70,000 votes. And by the way, those were the demographics. They were winning marginally under circumstances where there were nowhere near as many Muslims in Michigan. Okay? This year, they have enough that Biden literally lost to a coalition of them in one precinct by thousands. That was before all of this is unfolded. That was before half of the Muslim voters have decided to abandon Kamala. So, do y'all think that this attack from AOC is random or coordinated? Because Michigan's yet another swing state. It seems like every week we're finding out like Kamala is doing some dumb shit that could potentially lose her another swing state, right? Like, she just can't help herself. But, I mean, like AOC said, it seems like that's just bad leadership. Because, that's the de facto leader of the party. Isn't that what she said? The person running for candidate, the one person running for president is the de facto leader of the party. That's funny because you didn't call her bad and, quite frankly, stupid decision as a leader when she denied Palestinians from speaking during the DNC convention. Even from a purely strategic and self-motivated, self-interested perspective, that would have been the smartest thing to do if you're going to invite Israeli Zionists to speak. Just from a strategic perspective. But no. Because Kamala's a dumbass leader and AOC has nothing to say about that. Why? Because she's a little puppy dog being dragged by the Democratic Party. AOC will go down in history, ladies and gentlemen, as probably the most well-known politician ever to not have any legitimate power, to have the least possibly amount of power. We've never in the history of politics seen a politician as popular as AOC with absolutely no power. No political power whatsoever. AOC not convincing nobody. Bernie Sanders still has more political power. Well, I don't know anymore. I don't know. Not anymore. But before this election, Bernie, despite him being castrated, had more political power because they were still kissing his ass. AOC don't got any political power whatsoever. Because look at here, y'all. Her quote unquote squad coalition, they're dropping like flies. Cori Bush got beat. I mean, that was her. She tried to assume she was the presumptive leader, right? She relished the role, the leader of the squad. Cori Bush gets dropped. Jamal Bowman gets dropped. AOC doesn't even go out. It looked like she didn't even go out and campaign for Ilhan Omar. Ilhan won, but then immediately started calling AOC out. Rashida Tlaib, I don't know how she feels about AOC, but we ain't seen them in the same room in a while. So it looks like they pretty much, the ones who haven't dropped out of the squad have betrayed her. I don't know, where's Ayanna Pressley at? Everybody calls AOC the next Nancy Pelosi. Here's the problem with that. Nancy Pelosi had power. Nancy Pelosi had genuine influence within the party. She had the type of power where it don't matter how unpopular she is outside of the party, that shit is irrelevant because of how much influence she had in the party. And to be frank, to have that much power as a woman within the party, it's pretty impressive. In a sick and twisted, corrupt sort of way, but like, it's nice to know that, that it's nice to know the glass ceiling of corruption has been shattered in such a way. But even AOC can't, I don't know, maybe because she can't pick a side, because she actually believes she's a good guy. I don't know. But like, she doesn't even have the ability to be a good, corrupt establishment Democrat. And she's a piss poor, corrupt leftist. And she's just dumb. Somebody put on my IG, because I posted a video, in case y'all probably already saw it, some of you. I did a hotspot video talking about this topic. And somebody commented, they said, yo, it's wild. AOC voted in an election where she was a congresswoman at the time and didn't know who was on the ballot for their largest third-party competitor, which was the Green Party. And then put it in a video for the entire world to know. Bruh. After she just got done saying in that video, I support third party. Isn't that that's crazy that she did that. She went on the video talking about I support third parties. I ran the third party candidate. Like she acts like she's in the know of what's happening with third parties. Didn't know who the fuck ran for third party in 2020 while she was a sitting congressman or congresswoman. That's nuts. That's insane. She's just an idiot. She's just an idiot. And to be frank, once again, not only did the Green Party grow under Jill Stein, but the Democratic Party has declined under all of their new leadership since Hillary Clinton. So if you want to talk about bad leadership, the Green Party has its flaws. Every party does, really. But I promise you, those flaws are mitigated by Jill's presence. Or else the Democratic Party wouldn't work so hard to try and undermine her. Duh. They wouldn't have you go on IG Live talking about, I just think that's predatory and inauthentic. Almost as predatory as claiming that your candidate is working around the clock for a ceasefire when you know for a fucking fact that's not the truth. Which one would that be? Inauthentic or predatory? Or a little bit of both? Kenneth Ellison, what's going on, man? Thank you for the super chat. Jill and Ajamu announced on Jay Buffon's live stream that the Democratic Party is trying to get the Green Party off the ballot in Georgia. What the There you go. Where AOC at? Flagrant undermining of democracy. Flagrant undermine. Why? Do you know why? Oh, yeah. I don't know if I don't know if a lot of y'all live in Georgia or how many of y'all have visited Georgia. There's a lot of Muslims in Georgia. There's a shitload of Muslims in Georgia. There are a lot of Desi Muslims that live on the outskirts of Atlanta, like Beaufort, Gainesville. There's a few places. Yeah. And within Atlanta as well. Because a lot of them go to, I want to say Georgia Tech. I'm put it like this. There's enough to sway the election, and also we know how black people feel about Kamala, really. They're terrified of her. They're terrified of Jill. And they're terrified of the Green Party. How can you go out there? Bro, you know how bad that makes AOC look so bad. She just went up there trying to attack Jill Stein about how ineffective she is and how much of a threat she supposedly is. And the Democratic Party is like, yeah, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Get her off the ballot now. She is effective and we need to stop it immediately. Oh, man. Whew. Let's look at some of these comments before we go on to our last topic. Maybe our most important. AOC is less informed than the average voter. Yeah, she is, 100%. 100%. Like, every time she gets on IG Live, it becomes woefully apparent that she is more uneducated. In fact, at this point, I would make an argument that only uneducated voters like her. It's like not even just bourgeoisie liberals. It's like the laziest liberal that you could possibly think of, but also believe that they're genuinely moral and altruistic. Those are the only type of people that like AOC still. So like, imagine like, I don't know, Cristobal, Kyle Kalinske, Emma Vigilant, those. Darren Alevi, what's going on? AOC is foolish enough to think that if she runs in 2028, it will be a fair primary. If AOC decided to run in 2028, no, there's no way she thinks that. There's no way. There's no way that she believes that. You think she believes that for real? I don't think so. Like, that would mean she is an idiot. But like, she's witnessed it. She saw it. She's talked about it before. Now, she talked about it within the context of Bernie, but then she was like, we have to move on. We have to move forward. It's about being Donald Trump. Like, so she knows what they do. She's not an idiot. But maybe she's under the impression, like, I can be the establishment face because if she's popular enough, she's believing that it will leave them with no choice because they need somebody to run against whoever's coming up next. Maybe. I don't know, but that would be dumb to think that the Democrats wouldn't cheat. You know why they would cheat AOC? Not because they believe that she would pass policies or do anything that would help people. It's because she's too much of an idiot to run the party. She's like almost too much of a dumbass to be controlled. Like, yeah, you want somebody who's controllable, and you even want them to be a little bit stupid. But if they're too controllable and have no will of their own, and simultaneously too idiotic, then you end up with Kamala Harris as your Democratic nominee. And we see how that's going. Do you think they want to deal with that twice? Nah. Kamala gonna set the women in the Democratic Party back very long. Like, it's like how black people feel about Obama. Like, damn, he screwed us up. We ain't gonna get another chance for a while. We ain't gonna get another chance for a while. That's Kamala for women in the Democratic Party. Hillary was one thing. Kamala is like the nail in the coffin. It will be a while before you see a woman being just uplifted and thrusted into the front of the Democratic Party. They're going to go right back to white boys. Gavin Newsom is in the bullpen, just working on the swing. He's like, it's white boy summer again. It's on the way. So we got to talk about something, y'all. From here forth, we will be talking about science juice. So we only in the chat, we only say science juice. And we ain't talking about the C science juice. We're talking about a different type of science juice. But science juice is science juice, and you know that they will remove it if we call it anything besides that. Okay? I don't know if you guys have heard, but it looks like they're about to wage biological warfare in Gaza. The reason I say that is because there has been a temporary pause in the fighting that was announced. And y'all probably didn't even hear about that. You would think that's a big ass deal. That there's a pause, considering that there's been so many attempts for international organizations to organize a ceasefire for humanitarian intervention. And Israel was like, yeah, go ahead, try that. And then they either violate the ceasefire or they just blow up the organization that that's supposedly helping, or they don't stop, or they ignore them completely. We're gonna keep going. No, fuck y'all. Right? That's usually what happens. But Bill Gates and his organization, Biopharma, the pharmaceutical company that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation helped fund in Indonesia of all places, and the WHO have partnered up with UNICEF. And they are shipping millions of polio science juice to Gaza. And Israel has now allowed a temporary pause in the fighting in order to administer those juice boxes to kids. Because they found out the other day, a couple of weeks ago actually, at least in Palestine, that there's been a breakout in polio. And this is not only in Palestine, by the way, this is actually happening all over the global south. And do you know why? Because it's from shedding from the previous polio science juice. So the science juice that Bill Gates and the WHO and Biofarm has created is in response to the new polio that has only arisen because of the old juice box to solve the polio situation. Yeah. This is fact. This is literally. They're okay with it. They've admitted it. Okay, I can't even bring up the articles, because if I bring up the articles, YouTube gonna take me down. I can't do it. But the name of, like, if you can look it up. This is. I know it's weird that nobody's talking about this, but this is what's happening. You can look it up. But if we're on, maybe I'll do a separate live stream on Rockfin and Rumble only, and maybe Twitter to go into the super details of it. But yeah. That's what's happening. Now, don't y'all find it a little bit suspicious that Israel was finally convinced to do a temporary pause in fighting in Gaza to help Palestinians? In what world? In what world does Israel listen to the UN, to UNICEF, to the WHO to finally give pause for humanitarian intervention? In what fucking world? The only way, in my opinion, that Israel would allow any type of intervention is if there was a guaranteed negative outcome for the Palestinian people. Is that too far-fetched? Because that's the only thing we've ever seen. I mean, when you're literally blowing up people for trying to deliver food, I don't know what else you want me to think, because that's all. So the organization. Oh, I should just make sure everybody knows this. The UN Children's Fund, the UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations agency that assists Palestinian refugees, the UNRWA, are preparing to launch a campaign which would be conducted in 2 rounds. More than 640,000 children under the age of 10 will receive 2 drops of oral polio science juice, probably grape flavored, type 2. And they wanted to assure us of something, everybody. And this is a direct quote. This science juice is safe. This science juice is effective. And it offers top quality perfection, Mr. Dujarric said. It is a globally recommended flavor of juice for this variant type. So, the organization that helped to create this flavor of science juice actually came out and admitted that there were at least 7 cases of total paralysis in children in the DRC and some of its neighboring countries. And those are just the ones that they were able to confirm. Now, some of you might be wondering, how much damage has been done over several years? We don't know, actually, because this particular flavor of polio science juice was created 2 fucking years ago. Yep. Yeah. So they had an outbreak of polio because of the other flavor of science juice. And they said, you know what? You know how we'll solve that? We'll create a new flavor, y'all. We're going to test this one to make sure it works right. Yeah. If by test you mean start working on it today and finish it by the end of the week and start distributing it by the week after, we're definitely going to test it. We're going to test it on some black and brown kids. Again. Jeff, you're asking why aren't they using the flavor that was originated in the 80s to solve this problem? Because the flavor that was originated in the 80s has caused the problem. That's where this polio strain is coming from. You know, I've been saying for a while that one of the worst things that happened to the global South was that science juice. And the reason why I've said that is because if you actually do research, there was almost no reported, and I think it wasn't any, they can't confirm yeah or no, but it was almost no reported cases of polio in Africa until white people got there. En masse, I mean, and started wanting to solve the problem that hadn't existed yet. Now, I'm not saying, now in other countries where there was a mix of Europeans, that's a whole different situation. But it's likely that polio was brought along from Europe or that area. But Israel is allowing a pause for these Palestinian kids to take this experimental science juice. Polio was not ended because of the science juice, because there's a bunch of cases of polio to the point where now Bill Gates has invested billions of dollars into another company to solve the problem that's already been solved, supposedly. And by the way, the outbreaks of polio, these are just the ones that we're privy to. It always starts sooner than what we are. It always starts sooner than when we are made aware. When it comes to anything, we know that. So I'm sure that probably right around the time the pandemic started, they were like, we can't really push a new polio science juice and this at the same time. Because it's going to start to look like, because if we blame the old polio flavor, we blame the old flavor of the polio science juice as the cause of the new polio, that would probably deter a lot of people from wanting to take, the C word science juice. So I just want everybody to think about this. Just put our thinking caps on real quick. This was polio. The first polio vaccine, they had years and years, decades to get right. They had decades to get that right. They had decades to figure out the adverse reactions. They had decades. And the C word science juice, they had days. Really, they had months. And after decades, they figured out, oh, damn, we actually didn't solve the problem. Let's try again. With less time to get it right. Oh, but this time, instead of just giving it to a bunch of African kids, let's give it to the Palestinian kids. They're about to, they're going to die anyway. Of course, Netanyahu's going to let it. And we'll even get the other organizations in. We'll get the UN. We'll get UNICEF. We'll get the WHO involved so it makes it look like it's altruistic. Just as a fun fact, WHO has been involved in almost all of Bill Gates' science juice campaigns. So it's not really, that doesn't really instill confidence in anybody. It looks like they're trying to not only wipe out the current generation of adult Palestinians, but they're trying to make sure that the rest of them grow up in the worst possible, because you got to think about it. It's not just because they already they already destroyed water supplies, sewage filtration systems, all the things that cause polio. Right? Like dirty water, all that stuff. Like it usually is, so you contract it through oral. It's oral. I think it could be through blood too, or it could be fecal. But basically, water and food. And all the filtration systems are destroyed. So you're putting these people in a position where they can contract, because they're malnourished. They're drinking dirty water, and you can't really blame it on the water system itself, because 95% of the Palestinian population was vaccinated. It's 88% now. But they're saying, well, yeah, that's not really what's causing it, because it came from the old science juice. So the 88% is kind of irrelevant. Because almost what you're saying, it's almost like you're saying, oh, hold up. The more that people get it, the higher likelihood, at least with this, whatever's happening with this older science juice, the more that people get it, the higher likelihood that these kids can contract it because of the shedding. They've already credited this. This is in CNN articles, but even with mainstream media, we can't show those. Now we're talking about science juice. It's I can't. Bill Melinda Gates Foundation's hands all over this again, and WHO's hands all over this again. And for them to come out and have the audacity to say safe and effective again. He got mad because he said, we're seeing people claim that this drug is experimental. Motherfucker, it's 2 years old. It is absolutely experimental. What happened in 7 years? Before you can even think about distributing that shit to a human. They're not even going 7. We're lucky if we get 7 months before they try to pump us up with some new shit. Bill Gates is using Palestinian children as guinea pigs. But I'm sure that Netanyahu is fully aware of the track record of Bill Gates. So for him, it's biological warfare. So do you think that the Israelis are going to take this? Because if there's a polio outbreak, that outbreak is not limited to just Gaza. Bro, they all live like this together. They're squished together. So, do you think the Israelis are going to take it? And if not, and the fear, if they're not going to take it, but the fear is so great, why? Why not? Because you have to remember the IDF is fighting in Gaza. So aren't you just as susceptible? If it's an outbreak, right? You can, if it's an outbreak, I'm just saying. Yeah, no, they're not going to take it. We can just go ahead and get that out the way. We know they're not. We're not going to take it. They're not going to. No, Israel's not going to let their people take some experimental science juice. Not in this particular case. Not. Now, if Israel itself had been involved in crafting it, that's different. Israel drinks its own Kool-Aid all the time. But in this particular case, what was the biggest red flag? Hell, yeah, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, red flag. The fact that we're almost reading a sequel to a script that we've already read, where Bill and Melinda Gates and the WHO is involved in an Asian pharmaceutical / bioweapons company that's making a new flavor science juice that they've barely tested, and they're just passing it out like candy, claiming that it's safe and effective. It's like, we already read the script before. But the biggest red flag of all of this is the fact that Israel did a ceasefire pause, and really no one is taking credit for it, which is kind of bizarre, right? No one's taking credit for it. No one's giving blame for it. No one is, but it's because principally no one is talking about it. Because then you have to talk about the reason for the pause. Because you're not going to convince me that Israel stopped bro, they won't let food through. How many trucks full of medicine has Israel stopped from getting through, ladies and gentlemen? Hundreds and hundreds. Trucks, planes, all of that. Boats. Every time they try to get medicine through, it's been blocked. But this very specific thing, they allow. And that's not a red flag to nobody? That don't like set off y'all alarm bell? That's insane. That is insane. Like, this is experiment. This is like a legal human experimentation. I don't know how else to call it. It's experimentation and biowarfare. Henry Kissinger would be proud. But if this goes south, and it could, there was a group, like a watchdog group in Indonesia that was trying to figure out, trying to get the information on the trials. And there's a watchdog group that found that there was a 40% adverse reaction rate to this science juice. Now, if that number is close to accurate, there will be some backlash. There could be a fallout that Israel won't be able to escape from. Because it's not isolated. Gaza is not, they're isolated from the world, but they're not isolated from Israel. They're right there. They're neighbors. And Israel's going in and out of Gaza because of this war situation. So, what do y'all think is going to happen? The fallout could, bro, it could be horrible. This could be horrible. And you know what happens whenever science use messes up? You know what the solution is? Give everybody more science juice to solve the problem. That's what they're going to start saying, y'all. You can bank on it. It's going, hey, you got your kids got it. They're going to start trying to make our kids take this new version of the vaccine. No, I'm not doing it. I refuse. I'm not giving my kid that. You lost your motherfucking mind. You have lost your mind. I'm not doing that. Private school, it is. Homeschool, it is. I'm not doing it. The organization that created it admitted that there were paralysis. It's induced polio in some situations. Not doing it. Not doing it. Sorry. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit the like. Hit the like. Hit the like. And later on, come back and comment. Even if you already watched it. It helps us in the algorithm. You just hope that this video doesn't get taken down because of this part of the video. But yeah, I had to talk about it, bro, because I just had to warn everybody. Because I feel like, once again, even whenever my producer sent it to me, or excuse me, our editor sent it to me, I was like, this is crazy. Why is nobody talking about this? And I went to Twitter to see if anybody was talking about it. Nobody's talking about this. But so I had to. Like, I just run the risk this time. You know, we'll see what happens. See if YouTube punishes me for it. But thank y'all for sticking around. Spread that news, spread that information. And there's a hotspot video coming out on Twitter where I'm talking about it. It's going to be more concise. I'm going to have all the details that you need so you can pass it to your friends and all that good stuff. So, cool. You can support the show by becoming a channel member. You can ask me a question on Q Bounty. You can become a Patreon member, all that good stuff. All the links are in the description below. But of course, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.